This is Tom Meyer, Superintendent, Bellevue Community School District, coming to you with this week's Believe in the Blue update. Going to give you an update of the board meeting that we had last week on last Tuesday. A few days late on that way, but wanted to let you know some general things. One thing, we approved some resignations. Sarah Lampy as an associate, Jim Miller as a bus driver, and then Tricia Pickett from middle school softball. Then we also approved recommendations for hire, where Kyle May, who currently student teaches here right now, he will be our assistant, high school assistant baseball, and then doing some middle school baseball as well. And then Rachel Grable for the kindergarten position, and then Jamie Deering for assistant softball. We did have two public hearings, one public hearing on the budget. No one spoke up during that time. Our tax rate for this upcoming school year will be 12.16136, which is down from last year when it was 12.1923. The state average last year was 13.7269, so we are about 1.6 cents below the state average, which is good for us that way as a district, and still being financially stable as a district, along with being financially responsible, fiscally responsible, whatever term you want to use. We also had a public hearing on the calendar. No one spoke up on that either. Our first day of school, as legislated by the state of Iowa, cannot be before August 23rd, and that's when we will be starting, along with virtually every area of school that I know of. I know we work closely in developing the calendar and some different days with Maquoketa, Andrew, Easton Valley, and Delwood. So we will all start on August 23rd, which is a Thursday. We actually have teachers will be coming in that Friday before, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We'll kind of go from there. We do have 4 2-hour early dismissals in addition to the parent-teacher conferences for professional learning. We believe those are important, and those are 2 in the first semester and 2 in the second semester. The calendar is on our website if you want to take a look at that. We do have 2 full-day professional learning dates, not counting Martin Luther King Day, which has been a professional learning date for our staff. One of those is in September, and one of those is in October. And the first semester will actually end on January 11th, but students will have a little extra time to take care of things because grades will not be due for about a week and a half after that way. And unlike some other districts, we are still sticking with the 180 student days, student contact. A lot of districts have went to 175 or 177. We still believe it is very important to have students here that way for those 180 days. We do at the same time go by hours. We are required to have 1,080 hours of school attendance for students. We, along with virtually every other district in the state of Iowa, is well over that. We are around the 1,150 mark. But you can look on our calendar for that for more information on our website. Talk about some facility planning, a couple things there. I had a review of a tour that some of us took to the Quad Cities to look at Hamilton Elementary, which has been built a remodel. We looked at Grant Wood Elementary, which is being built in Bettendorf. Hamilton Elementary is in Moline. Excuse me. And then we also stopped at North Scott and looked at their athletic complex. Just to give ideas of what could happen. A lot of collaborative areas, a lot of open areas, a lot of space for students for their learning and collaborating to enhance their learning as a whole. We did talk about some repurposing of the current elementary building if we would go to a referendum, which is the plan in either September or December. We have one group called 563 Design. They offered us an idea of what it would what ideas there could be out there. They will be doing some drawings for us, or some other company will, in the future, to let people know what could the elementary building look like if it was not a school and still sitting in the middle of town, which I believe is a very important thing. We must have a purpose. We must have an idea of what that building will be in the future. We're having some land appraised close by that way within the community, and I will know more about that soon. We're also doing some work in the elementary and in the middle school, high school right now. We are putting some new carpeting in the 5th grade classrooms. We did order Mac Air computers coming in under bid, just like the carpeting did. We actually have some Chromebooks we're ordering as well for 1 grade, just a normal rotation there with the Chromebooks. The MacBooks, they've lasted 8 years right now, about 3 years, 2 to 3 years longer than we anticipate. We will still use 1 set of those for seniors next year. Juniors will get new Mac Air computers. We're doing some work in the middle school locker room to make it more equitable. and just a better facility for our students and our visitors who come in. So we'll be doing the middle school boys and eventually the middle school girls locker room. And we're also will be doing some work in the parking lot in the future out here in the middle school, high school. It needs some work. We've held it off for the last few years, and it's time now that we need to do something that way. Some school safety and security information. I want everyone to know about that. We are in the process of having more training. We're also in the process of getting our doors labeled with letters that way for exit, for just the emergency situations, know which door is what that way instead of calling it, well, the high school hallway door. Well, I know what that is, and most people in this building do, but sometimes things change and people may not always, so we'll have those labeled. We have about within the district, doors that actually enter into the building, even though some of them are locked during the day, or most of them are locked during the day, we still have over 50 doors that lead into the building, which is a pretty amazing amount when you start walking around and figuring things out that way. We are going to have monitors in each office area of the cameras that we already have, which also focus in on every door within the district that leads into the building. So we will have that. We're just adding those monitors as a step that way. We are adding one camera in addition to make our monitors, our security a little better that way. But we feel comfortable with where we're at overall. We also talked about metal detectors and security guards. Neither one of those are on the priority right now. Security guards, we may try to work with a grant on that. We did talk about a buzz-in system for our middle school and high school along with elementary, even though in some ways it is at the elementary already, because in order to get into the hallways you have to be buzzed through a door within the building, but having it on the outside. Holding off on that right now. We believe that the steps we're taking are very valid that way, and at the same time, just because someone buzzes in doesn't mean that you know who those people are. You're letting people in. It could be somebody you know, which is usually the case, and they're not showing any weapons at the time. So just a little information. We'll continue to have discussions on that way, but feel free to look at my notes within the comment highlights on the website under superintendent. The school board also approved up to $5,000 for Future Business Leaders of America going to Baltimore this summer at the end of June and beginning of July. They will also fundraise over $4,000 for that. So it was a positive thing. We reviewed some student survey information, which is also on the website. What we did there, we looked at students in grades 6 through 11 and how they feel about the rigorous school, relevance of their learning, leadership in the school, and relationships in their school. And then we also gave separate surveys with the same questions, virtually just geared toward a teacher, to our PK through 5 teachers and our 6 through 12 teachers that way. So some interesting information there. Sometimes we think we know what students are doing all the time, but we really don't according to them. And just some difference between middle school and high school. And you can review that information. We had some discussion at the board meeting on that. We did approve for JMO LLC, or that's actually Jim Ott, to come into our building again next year, so somewhere between $15,000 and $20,000, and work with our students. And what we believe is also a safety and security measure as well, by creating a safe, caring school community that way. We believe that's one of the biggest things that we can do, is to help our students become a caring community within the building and then extending that outside of the building as well. Talk about staffing for next year. We did approve, we have not finalized insurance yet for next year. We did approve Joni Kilberg who will be working for the Eastern Iowa Community College District as an instructor for our English 105 and English 106 college courses for typically our juniors and seniors to participate in that way. So just an information item there. School board also approved their membership in the Iowa Association of School Boards, National School Boards Association, and the Iowa School Finance and Leadership Consortium, Iowa School Finance Information Services. There's way too many acronyms out there that way. ISFIS, where we do a lot of our budget work and seeing where things are at that way. We also talk about information items, legislative. There's some operational sharing ideas we may have with the Maquoketa District in the future that way, where we would actually gain money from working with them on something that way, and they would do the same. Talk about some summer help. Great Give Day to give to your favorite local nonprofits, being the Bellevue Community Schools being one of them, is on May 10th, 2018. Also talk about prom and after prom. Prom this year is going to be held on Saturday, April 21st, and that is at Mooney Hollow, with after prom to be happening here. And the Beyond the Blue recipients were recognized. They'll be approved at next meeting, but those recipients are Dawn Deppy, Gerald Jackson, Albert Bug Knake, and Tim Roth. And then we also reviewed the National School Boards Association, some trends there. Those are in the notes as well. Making learning meaningful for students with purposeful learning. How am I going to use this learning? Meaningful instruction with innovation in instruction, not just standing up and talking in front of a class. Looking at learning environments. How do we sit at home? We usually don't sit in a desk or sit in a rigid chair. We find someplace comfortable to learn. And doing those type of things in classrooms. And finally, the importance of community involvement within the educational system and thinking for the future. How might we improve? How might we accomplish whatever is on our minds that way? Then the board also went into closed session to talk about land acquisition and potential bids on lands and land values. That is a closed session situation based on the law, but wanted you to know that as well. Some other legislative things out there. There's a state assessment, looks like is going to be through the Iowa assessments after about 3 to 4 to maybe 5 years of discussion about this and having some other ideas out there what would be best for education with assessments and follow up to the assessment. We went with Smarter Balance first, then it was AIR, and ultimately the legislature has decided to make that the Iowa assessments if they make some improvements, which we have not. No one has seen potential test for that, which is somewhat controversial. Security plans. Each school has to have a security plan, including for active shooter, which the Bellevue Community School District has had for several years already. And just talking about more flexibility in spending for the Bellevue schools and other public schools across the state, and some general things like that. But I will give you a separate update on a separate day about legislative actions that way. But I do want to thank Andy McKean and Todd Bowman, our representative and senator at the state level for us. They've been very good to work with, and I want to thank them for their efforts, and I would encourage you to do the same thing for them. So if you have any questions, once again, as always, let me know. I will talk to you again later. Have a great week, everyone.